Welcome to Stories of Hope. This is a podcast by the Dream Center.
Where you will hear from people who have stories that once seemed hopeless.
People whose stories of redemption and life transformation are so powerful, they can only be possible by the power of Jesus. Hey everybody, welcome to Stories of Hope for our second to last episode on the season, which feels crazy that we're already here. But if you're just joining in, we have been walking through our core values for our organization. This season, me and Chris, who has joined me as co-host for this season. And today, I'm very excited. This is going to be like my favorite episode that we've done. But Sarah Shupert is joining us, who is our executive assistant. She works with Chris pretty much nonstop. And she just felt like the perfect person to talk about great things never come easily. And so I'm super glad you're here.
Yeah, me too.
Thanks for doing it. This feels very fun. So, Chris, what was one of the things choosing this core value at the beginning that, or what were some of the things that you guys thought through as far as this just has to be something that we focus on and make sure we keep in front of us at all times?
I think because from the very beginning, everything seemed really hard, and you can get really discouraged and you can get really defeated. And I'm like, why does everything have to be so hard? We're doing good work. Why does this have to be so hard? And it truly, somebody said, well, great things never come easily is not a Bible verse. It's not in the Bible. I'm like, I'm not professing that it's in the Bible. But I know for a fact through experience that every great move of God at the Dream Center from the very beginning, required a lot of faith and a lot of work and a lot of trust in what God was doing. And it was not easy. Yeah, right. Because if it was the easy road is the road most people want to take because you can do it yourself and you don't have to rely on God. So... And it's true today. And that's why Sarah's sitting here because she's my closest person. We literally say this to each other on a daily basis. Right. She says it to me mainly. But remember, great things never come easily because to this day, everything we do is challenging. Yeah. It's rare that something comes easily. Yeah. But the good thing is the more you experience that, the more faith you have. That, hey, it's not easy, but I don't have to be worried. Right. I just have to be faithful. Right. And so, that's why I love it so much because it's a reminder to me not to give up. Yeah. And there's a lot of days that I question, why don't I give up? And then I just remember that this is something great and worthy. And I just remember that it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it.
Right.
Yeah. I also just think it's a testament to we're doing good things. So if God's put it in our path and it's not coming as easily, we know there's about to be a big payout for it because we know, oh man, we don't want to do a child care center, but we know God's hands in it the whole way through. And it's not going to be easy, but it also shows that we're doing exactly what God has called us to do. Yeah. And honestly, I read something the other day, the devil is going to go after people who are doing really great things and they're going to prowl around and go after that. But if we weren't doing great things, we wouldn't be coming under attack at all. So it's also a reminder of okay, well, if this isn't easy, that means we're right where God wants us to be because we're doing his will.
Yeah, if you're just sitting by the wayside and just doing whatever, the enemy's I don't even need
I don't need to worry about
think
you.
About them in any way.
Right.
And it's true. It feels like the complete opposite with what we're trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Even I think about my mom used to tell me when I was younger, when things were hard and I was going through just difficulty, she would say, well, you must be doing something right. And it makes me think of that because when we are working on something, it's gosh, every door closes or, why does it have to be recently? I was feeling a little defeated because we have so many young children and we didn't have enough transportation room and we're having to overextend ourselves and make up a lot of trips. And, we needed a van. I'm like, why is it so hard for us just to have a van? Right. And it's when those challenges come up, exactly what Sarah said, that we're reminded God is presenting an opportunity for us to rely on him and to trust him.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is hard for us in our flesh to do because we want to fix it and we want to handle it and we want to know what's happening.
Yeah.
Right.
And God called us to bring all these women in, and he called us to trust in him that he would make a way. And like already they've been here for a week and we're seeing that God is just doing incredible things through their lives and they're meant to be here.
Yeah.
And like, so we followed the first step. We're trusting that he's going to get us to the next one, but it's just insane to see how he's working all the time at the Dream Center.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One of the big things that I'd love to talk about a little bit is, and what feels like with this core value specifically that the two of you and I think a lot of us rely on is dream big when it comes around every year of, and this is where I think this can be really helpful for hopefully other organizations that are listening to this as well, is Dream Big is our yearly fundraiser, our biggest one of the year, that we do in Greenville at the Convention Center, where we tell tons of stories and there's so much work that goes into it. And we were talking about it before we started this of the months leading up to it feel crazy and it's so much work. And what's some of the things that, Sarah, you're a huge part of pulling this thing off? It probably wouldn't happen without Sarah.
No.
But what are some of the things that you, through this core value, can lean on and look into when it comes to Dream Big and pulling off these big events, gratitude party, all those things that you kind of help you get through seasons like that?
I think it's just like you have to look back and see that God's gotten you through it this many times. And just the small everyday miracles that we get to see here at the Dream Center and the life transformation. Like that's why we do what we do. That's why we show up every day, even when it's hard. And I just have to believe that God's going to continue using these small acts of obedience. It's what Chris talks about all the time to us of like, God trusts you with a little bit, so keep being faithful in the little things, and then he's going to trust you with more. You have to be faithful to him, and he's going to get you, and you won't even be able to look back and think of like where you were before because he's just brought you that far.
Yeah, that's true.
So I would say that's just what I kind of rely on through the whole process of just every little thing that we're doing. I just know that we're doing it for a bigger purpose and know that we're doing it for him. Yeah. And to transform lives. So
yeah, that's awesome.
I think one of the things that works really well with Sarah and I working together too is we've been through and done a lot of things that are really difficult that other people would be like, oh, well, that can't be done, or why would you even consider taking that on, or whatever. And we've been able to do so many of those things because God has led us through it and provided through it, and we've just been able to trust him through it. So now there's a lot of big things being put before us, and we're just not afraid of them.
Yeah, right.
Now, I'm a little bit like anticipating the amount of work it'll take, but we're not afraid of it. And Sarah's not afraid of it either because we've done it so many times and he has provided for us. So I appreciate that the Lord has taken our what used to be fear of doing it away and replaced it with more faith that, hey, yes, it's going to be a lot of work. Yes, it's going to be some unknowns, but bring it on. I mean, he's done it time and time again. Great things will not come easily, but they will come. Yeah. So I appreciate Sarah because she has never said like, oh my goodness, there's no way. Yeah. She's just like, all right, let's go.
Well, I will say I've learned that from you because, I mean, honestly, from the very first time I came in here, you were just like, you told that story about like how you used to be overtaken with fear and that your faith has just been grown exponentially. And I'm like, well, she believes it, so I'm going to get on board. And I've seen it myself. Like you just see it time and time again and you're just amazed by it. So yeah, your faith is going to be grown when you're in it every day and you're seeing these things that are happening here. It's just, you can't.
It's undeniable.
Yeah.
Oh,
undeniable.
So you see that nothing is impossible with God. You hear everybody say the verses, nothing is impossible with God and all things are possible. And it's true.
It is.
So we see that and there's literally nothing he can't do.
No, it's true.
We watch him take a person who has been through things that you can't even imagine, who has no hope, who has no anything, and totally transform their lives. He can do anything. So that'll build your faith real quick.
Yeah. As y'all were talking to, I think James 1, it's either verse 3 or 4, where it says, when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. And I feel like that pairs so well with this of the things that we're seeing, the things that feel hard, the things that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. If it wasn't testing, like the realness and the depth of our faith and our endurance was not able to grow with what we are trying to pull off, then it would not be possible. So to an extent, I'm thankful that we've got to walk through this, what feels like a constant refining process in our work of pretty much everything we try to accomplish is going to be pretty difficult. But like you were saying, at this point, because we've gone through so many testings, we're like, okay, great.
Bring it on.
10 women and 18 children.
Yeah. Let's go.
3 or 4, and let's figure it out.
Yeah.
See what happens.
And I see, we've got big plans for the future that
really big.
People would say, oh my goodness, that's too big, too much, too what? And I'm like, yeah, but God will do it with or without us.
Yeah,
so
true.
Why not be a part of it?
It's true. It's wild. The verse that this core value comes from is 1 Peter 5:8. Be sober-minded, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, seeking someone to devour. And I think that of all the verses that we use in our core values, with this being the last core value we'll cover, that one I think for me has been the most helpful in keeping me grounded and honestly sober-minded for the reality of this grand scheme of things that are happening here between people, between what we're trying to accomplish. Like I just said, we now have 28 new people who are on this campus for a year. And the enemy's probably sitting there being like, perfect. It is like, there could not be more of a harvest waiting to be like reaped for me, and being able to sneak in and find somebody to. And so I think that it just helps me realize the amount of prayer, the amount of preparation, the amount of thought and intentionality that I have to have every day now at work. I've thought about that this week a ton of he's sitting there waiting for somebody to have one slip or one of us to start getting frustrated with the situation. And it's helpful for me to be able to run through that filter of like the 3 sub points under are ask for help when we are overwhelmed, work through disagreements with the knowledge we're working towards the same goal, and resolve conflict in a Christ-like manner. And I think that all this week I've thought about this podcast being recorded today is perfect timing of like this. He's probably prowling around more than he ever has.
Oh,
been
yeah.
With how many souls are here.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that one thing we have to remember is when you're a faith-based organization and you're on guard, like you're not, the enemy's not going to ring the doorbell and be carrying a pitchfork, be like, oh, you can't come in, sorry.
Yeah, right.
He's going to come up among your team and he's going to create division, and he's going to create things that aren't pointing people to Christ. And that's how he gets in. And that's why we talk about pray for each other, really pray for each other. You can't hold something against somebody that you're constantly praying for. And ask for help when you're overwhelmed. I used to have the hardest time with that because I didn't want to ask for help. I wanted to do it all by myself, and I still struggle with that. But I have come so far in asking for help, because you will get overwhelmed here very quickly. And one thing that when we have new people come in that they're shocked by is how much help other team members give, because they're like, oh my goodness, I cannot believe that Tanya, who's over the resale stores and has nothing to do with Opportunity Village, came in early to help us with Opportunity Village when we got overwhelmed. And we're like, no, we have to do that, because there's going to be times when any of us need help.
Yeah, right.
And you can't do it by yourself. So I just think that understanding that great things don't come easily, but our team has to stay prayed up and united and have each other's back, and don't even let the door open a crack for the enemy. Don't be the weak link.
Yeah.
If you're not growing in your own spiritual walk, you're the weak link.
Right.
And you're not even going to recognize him, and he's going to come in and start causing you to be a complainer and a division causer. And don't be that person, because we don't need any. Because if you don't let the enemy in, there is no gap in the door.
There's not.
He can't win. And that's one of my greatest challenges, is just trying to help people understand how quickly that can happen.
Right.
And you don't want to be that. That can happen to any of us when you're just let the you're not spending time with the Lord. You're not praying. You're not reading your Bible. And then you're discontent and you're saying something you shouldn't. And so.
Right.
Yeah. And I think just not letting, I think the very first thing that he likes to use is telling yourself the lies of this person's not for you, or you're not qualified to do what you're doing right now. And I think that's the easiest way he starts to get into our head and get into our everyday life. So just staying grounded in God's word and knowing the truth and just preaching that over yourself, and then also just praying for your team. Because we're be under attack because we're doing great things. Right. Who the devil's looking at right now 100%. Is this organization, and looking at what we're doing. We're trying to transform lives, and he's going to be like, I don't want that to happen. Right. So he's going to come after us. So just remembering all that.
I think too, one of the really cool things from what you were saying about how our team helps each other is, even this week, the be watchful part of this is super helpful for me in pairing with the asking for help when we're overwhelmed part. For me specifically, I have when I know that I have a lighter day, pretty much the first thing I'll do is come find the both of you and be like, what can I what can I help with? And literally this week when I went and picked up the t-shirts for the kids, I walked into your office when you guys were talking, and Sarah turned around oh, I hope it's Brady, because I need to ask him for something literally immediately. And it's helpful when we get to that point of realizing that there's so many things that truly are just, there are things in my job that can wait to make sure that the bigger picture of what's happening here, and that my teammates are not getting overwhelmed, that I can be this can just wait, instead of choosing being well, no, I need to get this work done. So give me a minute.
That is very important, because there are certain people who never have a light day,
Yeah, right.
And so it is nice to have team people who, if they do have a gap where they're I could go help somebody, it is so appreciated.
Yeah.
Because there are just certain things like the resale stores and what Sarah and I are doing. There's just not gaps. Yeah. And it's man, any help is so great.
Yeah.
People don't understand too, the Dream Center is run on such a small staff.
That's true.
People don't realize we don't have, a full-time CFO, and we don't have a custodian. Right. We are taking our own trash out. And so it piles up, and we got to help each other, or we're when our residents, when we're in transition, we're doing the building chores. We're cleaning the bathrooms when we don't have residents here to do the chores. And it can be a lot on top of what you're already doing. So I feel like we're not a typical model of what typically, but we're frugal, and we have to use our money where we need it most.
Right.
And that requires sometimes us helping each other.
Yeah. I feel like you probably see Sarah's office is the one that's at the front desk, and I feel like you probably see this too, with just people walking through the door of so many different situations or different kinds of people, or a donor will show up out of nowhere, or someone who is probably a little bit beyond the help that we can offer, and so I feel like you just get a chance to see some of the ways that
definitely
today ain't gonna be easy, and that's okay.
Definitely. I talk to Joni all the time. Joni's our front desk receptionist, but she shows the love of Jesus wherever she goes, and she's answering that phone. And some days when I have to answer that phone and people are crying, telling you their whole story, I'm like, oh, I don't really feel like listening to this today, or I don't feel like dealing with this. It's overwhelming, and she's doing it constantly and showing the love of Jesus to these people over and over and over again. So just having appreciation for our team and just knowing all of them are going, Joni probably doesn't think it's easy, but she does it every day with such grace and such love that, and she's just one example, but our whole staff, I'm just thankful for who we have in place here to deal with all those people coming in.
Oh, 100%.
We had one this week there was a man who rang the doorbell, and he was homeless. He was hungry. He was dirty, and he just wanted information about somewhere he could get food. But they were able to invite him in and say, well, what about a shower? Would you like something to eat right now? And it was just so neat to see, because he said, he said, "Ma'am, I don't even know what day it is."
Right.
He said, "I'm on the street. I'm homeless. I don't even know what day it is." And Joni invited him to come in, and immediately, like crisis intervention, he didn't have an appointment, but they came and got him, and they were able to let him take a hot shower, and it looked like he hadn't had a shower in weeks, and give him something to eat, and that happens day after day after day, and people don't realize the need out there. Yeah. We're all in our comfortable routine and not realizing the hopelessness and the hurt that people are going through.
It's true. And that's where I think the sober-minded piece of the scripture comes into play of the best thing that I can do is not let my brain, specifically with what we're doing here and what my job is. If there's ever a day where I come down to my office and I'm like, everything's probably fine, I can just sit down here and I'm sure everything's taken care of and everybody's feeling great and doesn't feel any kind of overwhelmed at all, then that is the second that my mind is not in the right spot at all, because there's always something that needs to be done. Even if everybody's having a great day,
always
there still
something.
Are things
always
like that are just going to be, honestly, she'll probably get mad for saying it, but Sarah Beach is like a great example of that right now. Of she's all over the place with the coffee shop, with the stores, with here, like trying to just make sure that things get taken care of, asking what can be done, making sure Matt is okay, and it's just that aspect of there's always something that probably needs to be done, and somebody always needs some help, even if things aren't on fire. It's just there are things that need to be done.
And you know, I think Sarah Beach has the coolest. I think she has the coolest bird's eye perspective probably than anybody.
Also, shout out Sarah Beach is our normal co-host for the podcast.
Because yes, she is, but because she gets to see every.
It's true.
She gets to see it here. She gets to see it at every store, and she gets to see it at the coffee house. Nobody else gets that.
That's true.
And she has a bird's eye view of what God is doing in all of it together and how it works together.
Yeah, it's true.
And I wish everybody could have that, but it's not possible.
It's so true. So, okay, as we get kind of towards the tail end of this, Sarah, what's one of the things that you would love to leave people with that you've learned through this core value that you that's something that you really hold on to, or something that you have kind of, even if it's like this is a little tweak that's helpful for me with this core value, like what's one of the things that you would leave people with?
I think just continuing to say yes, even when it's uncomfortable. I mean, I don't like talking in front of people and I'm on the podcast, but just seeing how God uses that when you do say yes to him, it's a blessing, and he can use anyone, and he has made a specific purpose for everyone. So I think there's not another Sarah Shupert out there. There's not another plan for a Sarah Shupert. Like I'm the only one that can fill God's purpose. And that's the same for everyone. So I think just continuing to say yes. And even after so later in 1 Peter 5:8 is verse 10. And this is what it says. And after you have suffered a little while, the God of all grace, who has called you to his eternal glory in Christ, will himself restore, confirm, strengthen, and establish you. So it's just, that's what I hold on to. It's just like, we might be suffering for a little while, but in the end, God's got us, and God's got the greater plan. He sees it all, and he's going to use us. So we just have to be willing and ready to be used.
Absolutely.
So. Amazing.
Yeah.
You got anything to wrap up?
I would just say, like, great things never come easily applies to anybody out there who is seeking to follow God. And you might be struggling with your marriage. You might be struggling, with trying to expand your family or different things that you're going through, and it's not going the way you think. But God is doing a great thing in your life, and just knowing that it's not always going to be easy, but he is going to use it in a powerful way for your good. And we just have to remember that, in that struggling marriage, that it's not going to be easy. You got to put in the work, and you've got to do what he leads you to do, but trust him with the outcome, and you're going to be just fine.
Right.
So I think it applies to every area of our life. You just got to be walking with him and closely enough to hear his voice and do what he says, and you have nothing to worry about. And that is what sustains me every single day of my life.
Right.
So, and then he'll blow your mind if you'll just do that.
Yes.
Definitely.
That's awesome. As you were talking, I'm sitting here also thinking, this is our last core value
Mhm.
episode. Like we have one more about 1 Corinthians next week, but this is the last one, and I have loved every second of every piece of conversation with each member of our team of just getting to. We read them all the time, and I think that there's times where, and I've been at fault of this, of just like feeling numb to them and not really like making sure that I'm being extra intentional with when I'm reading to them, or just making sure I get through it. It's like, all right, we have a meeting. We just need to do this because it's, and this has made me so incredibly grateful, and really just a beautiful few weeks of the deep impact that these have had on our team.
Yeah,
And
everybody needs some core values.
yes, it's so true. And so I just want to honor both of you just for the work that you guys do. I want to say thank you just for being my friends and being team members. And Sarah, I feel like I could honor you for like 20 minutes on this thing, but Sarah's like my work sister, so I feel like we get to just do lots of things and have lots of fun together. And so just great job doing this. I'm very proud of you for doing this. I know it was a
She's glad
great,
to check this off her list.
great thing that didn't come easily, and so just great job. Super proud of you and thankful for you. And yeah, I guess we'll do one more episode and we'll be done with this season. And so thank you guys for listening. As always this season, the core value will be at the end of this episode. You guys can see it and see the points underneath it. And if this feels like something, like, y'all are welcome to adopt them. They're amazing, and I would encourage it. So thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week for episode 7 and the last one of the season.